Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other shore. A scribe approached and said to him, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus answered him, "Foxes have dens, and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Another of his disciples said to him, "Lord, let me go first bury my father." But Jesus answered him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead." The Gospel of the Lord. It would seem that the prophet Amos is speaking to us even today. They sell the just man for silver. This is an example of people using other people for personal gain, treating our brothers and our sisters as if they are commodities and things for our personal agendas. They trample the heads of the weak. You see, because this is a people that Amos is describing, that rather than helping the poor, they cast them aside and see them as nobodies. They will them out of existence because they're too much trouble. And so they're nobodies. And son and father go to the same prostitute. You see unfettered sexual morality among the people of Israel at this time. They mock the sacrament of marriage, and they use other people's bodies for pleasure. And they abandon the God who loves them for a demon. Does this all sound familiar to you? Sounds like a page cut right out of American history in the last 10 years. They profane my holy name, Amos goes on to say. In other words, they have no regard or respect for God and his holiness and the fact that he desires to love and be with his dear children. They don't care. This is a description of a culture that is the walking dead, because they have no place for God, who is the source of all life and can give eternal life. It's a culture without respect for life. It's a cry for freedom, but they're looking for freedom in the wrong place. A freedom to do whatever we want instead of looking at the plan that God has for our life and being free enough to say yes to his plan and his love and his mercy. They've left behind the 10 Commandments, which is a pattern of life for eternal life, a way to live properly. Just think about that for a minute. Can you imagine if we really lived, if we all agreed to really live by the 10 Commandments? There would be some failures in the mix, but it's a plan that God designed to work, and we've abandoned it. We don't like his rules because we have a false view of freedom that says, I want to do what I want, except our freedom really holds us in bondage to destruction. And so, in a way, we turn against ourselves and destroy ourselves. And Amos describes it as this. He's speaking for God. I will crush you to the ground. This is a reference to the fact that God is allowing the people that Amos is talking about, he's allowing them to be victims of their own demise. They don't want him to intervene, so he lets them be until they cry out for mercy. But it hasn't been happening yet. And then Jesus says in the gospel, let the dead bury the dead. That's right. We're living in a culture that's the walking dead. Let them bury themselves. We need to walk away from that. And we need to walk into the arms of the mercy of Christ and live. Not in a culture of death, but in a culture of life. And so Jesus says to his disciples, follow me. Let the dead bury the dead, if that's where they want to go. But you follow me. And when we follow Christ, it's an invitation by him to be his disciple and to walk and to talk and to act and to look like him in everything we do. To reveal ourselves to the world as citizens of heaven, not of a culture of the walking dead. And so we follow Jesus for the sake of life and abundant life. We follow Jesus and we love our neighbor as ourself because he died on the cross even for my neighbor. And so Jesus is very serious here because it's a very serious situation in the world. Follow me. The option is a culture of death, the walking dead, and they don't even know they're dying. St. Paul talks about living in the flesh that brings death. The flesh is a person who is setting aside the limitless source of grace to live in holiness and the love of God they set all that aside instead of living for the purity, the beauty, and the goodness and the mercy of Christ. And so today, we choose to follow Jesus, don't we? But it's a conscious choice we must make daily and sometimes even hourly and sometimes moment by moment, because it's a difficult path, but it's worth it because it brings us everlasting life.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquae meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.